Hello, everyone. Thanks for logging on to CBSColorado.com. Time now for a few extra minutes with former All-American, former NFL All-Pro Chad Brown. We've been talking Broncos. We've been talking Buffs. Let's go back to Broncos. We didn't get to touch on Davis Webb. What are you looking forward to? What do you think changes with him taking over play calling duties?
I think Davis Webb will be far less resistant getting away from the run. Sean Payton, over the last couple of years, gets frustrated early in the game. Run's not working as he hopes it would, then gets away from it. You end up asking your quarterback to drop back 30 or 40 times in a ball game. It takes away the pressure from the defense. As a former quarterback, I think Davis Webb would recognize if we have a run game, that balances out things. The defense doesn't know from snap to snap whether we're going to run the ball or pass the ball. And everybody who's played any kind of defense knows a running attack is going to be far more effective in the fourth quarter than it is in the first quarter. So for Sean Payton to judge it after a series or two and get away from it, I think Davis Webb will be sharper with that and won't be as quick to give up.
On that same note, the Broncos have really emphasized getting off to faster starts this year so they're not battling through so many one-score games. Is that something you think would make a difference with Davis now calling plays?
I think a fresh perspective. I have a number of friends who are coaches in the NFL. And they know that I do a lot of Broncos media, and they've talked about, if you want to figure out the Broncos, just go watch this era of the New Orleans Saints. This is what Sean Payton is trying to achieve. It's different players, same formations, same kind of thing. So Davis Webb approaching play calling from a different perspective, there won't be the same book that Sean Payton has put together for defensive coordinators, defensive coaches for over a decade as a play caller. The book on Sean Payton is really well written and really well read by defensive coaches. Davis Webb will be a fresh read for those guys. He would have a chance to fool people this season.
Let's talk about our guy Vance Joseph. What a treat to have him in Denver for one more season. Who knows how much longer. But the continuity of him having this same core group and them having him, how does that help this group elevate another level this year?
When you have the same coaching staff, when you have that level of continuity, you're not relearning the language every year. Every coach comes in with a slightly different language. So if you're constantly changing position coaches or even coordinators, you feel like you're back in language school every season. I had 6 different defensive coordinators in my 8 years in Seattle. Wonder why we weren't a top 10 defense very often. There was no continuity there. So when you have that same language, same coach, then you can dive into the deeper layers of the playbook. And rather than going into the game wondering about what your assignments are or what the communication from the sideline is going to be, now I can use all my memory space for my opponent, what the situations are, what they like to do on 3rd and 10, 3rd and 7, what they like to do when they're backed up. You only have so much mental space on game day, and I'd rather have my opponent in my mental space than what the heck do I do from down in and down out. That's what that continuity does for you.
When you look at this team, and Sean Payton said this last year at training camp. He thought last year's team was a Super Bowl team. He said it at the very beginning of training camp this year, and I think it certainly has empowered those players. You know, it's interesting because some teams don't want to talk about that this time of year. Sean Payton likes it. Seems like his team really likes it. Where do you fall on that?
I like setting the standard and the expectation. I did a coaching internship with Seattle after they lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. And Coach Carroll mentioned it one time in the first meeting, and that was the only Super Bowl talk for the rest of that training camp. I thought that was an opportunity missed. So I'm glad to see that Sean Payton is embracing the challenge of it all, essentially putting it on the players' shoulders. This is the expectation. This is the standard we're going for here. This is the roster that's been assembled. We just have to execute. Rather than trying to avoid it, embrace it.
Today, Bo Nix said he feels like this is a player-led team, and we often hear that cliche, player-led teams are the best teams. So are they the best teams, and why?
When you have veterans in the room who understand what success is, as this team found out last year, then they get to enforce those standards in the locker room and tell everybody how things are supposed to be done and what the level of expectation is. And so when you see somebody sneaking out after practice and not watching tape, oh, come back here, young fella. We watch tape after the day is done. Yeah, get your workout in and then come back and do 30 minutes of film study. So the players can do that. If that's always coming from upstairs, then the message gets lost. But when it's the guy whose locker is right next to you and sometimes grabbing you and making you do these things, that's far more effective.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, Chad, thank you for taking the time tonight. Thanks for all the brilliant insight. We appreciate it.
I always love being on with you. This is great.
We'll have you on again this season in between calling all those games. Good luck this year.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next time.